Great good morning, everyone. Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Tuesday, August 26th. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it is 9:10 a.m. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it because we have a relatively safe capital city. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his incredible companies. Men who died this year, but we celebrate today. Like Joseph Ayub, Carbondale, Braised in German, Harold Vandermark, Wanami, Frank Schmidt, West Hazelton, Jeffrey Pensek, late of Florida, but he was from Scranton, and Bob Bogert from Bloomsburg. The United States of America, the nation founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, amazing, irreplaceable founding fathers, that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It could not be parceled out to groups. It could not be controlled by government or government officials. Indeed, our great American Constitution ensured and codified freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. Well, this Bob Cordaro Show, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that we will deliver to you, that we will make available to you a sanctuary of sanity when an entire political party, the Democrats, have lost their minds. When a global elite and an establishment is working for themselves and against you. So you need this. You really do. Hey, the document thing, I just wanted to put a bow on it. The people who give you the most sanctimony are the most guilty. That's the Washington way. And no one was more of a swamp creature than Joe Biden. And despite being a conservative, and I liked him at various times, John Bolton. So we're going to see. Was it political retribution? Was it guided from the White House? His, I guess, what would you call it? I guess his raid, his investigation. We're going to see. I would hope not. But we'll follow it as it is and call it as we see it. Bulldog, did I gavel to order this meeting? Did I? Bulldog says yes. Okay. I'm looking at the gavel and the soundboard, and I don't know. These people are the phoniest people on the planet. You're a Democrat mayor and governor. Let's just take Illinois for the immediate example. and you claim you're for the poor people, you're for the working class, and you subject them to murderous rampage, to literally unprovoked crime and unrelenting crime. They can't run a business because they're getting robbed and under threat. They can't send their kids to school. I mean, all of the consequences of hardcore crime that scumbag Brandon Johnson and that pig, there's nothing else I could call him, Pritzker. It's unbelievable. And they just, my God, they just make it up. I want you to just think of the concept that and this is, by the way, you'll notice they all have the exact line on everything, whether it's the Democrat summer meeting or Gavin Newsom or Mamdani. It doesn't matter who it is. It's the exact same line. Now, if you were coming to my city and said, look, we're going to help you. And by the way, I might take all of the credit, but your city's going to be safer because we're going to remove illegal aliens and we're going to bust heads with gangs and street thugs and all of that. But your people, the people you've sworn to represent, are going to be safer. Who in their right mind would not take that deal? I don't get it. Who would not take that deal? Your people are suffering. People are dying. All of this. They can't get ahead. They can't get educated. Oh, and another thing. Listen, if what we'd like to do is set up for your state, your city, we'd like to set up a place where kids could go to school safely. Ask Governor Shapiro about this. A place that they could go to safely. And if they don't like their school, we're going to give the parents an option. Now, please remember this. We're not going to only give them an option for charter schools and all that. We're going to give them an option for a better public school to go to. And Shapiro said no. Even though he ran on it, because he's a fake moderate, a fake normal person, he's an insane lunatic leftist. Spending your tax dollars on 21 different people who are just in charge of his image on the taxpayer's dime, not on his campaign dime, on your dime. This is the way they do things. And the frightening consistency of how disgusting they are is ridiculous. Somebody texts in, it's to resist Trump. It's the resist Trump effect, regardless of logic, more derangement. I talked about TDS yesterday. Somebody takes in, the Marxist mantra is to project onto your opponents exactly what you are doing. It's then easy to accuse them and offer examples because they themselves are 100% familiar with what they are accusing you of because they are doing it. How did we get here? How did the left grab the Democrat Party, and how are they holding it in a vice that normal Democrats, and there ain't many on the top or in elected office, that normal Democrats won't step up and change things. You look at our own Bob Casey and our own Matt Cartwright. They both went to Washington, D.C. as proclaiming themselves as moderate to conservative, pro-life Democrats. When they were thrown out of office last fall, they were both left-wing lunatics. I don't get it. So he said, hey, Bob, have you noticed the local news stations manage to crowbar in a clip of Josh Shapiro every morning? I don't watch the local stations, frankly. I don't. But I get it. And remember, this is what the 20 people around him who are costing you millions, his image people, you got to remember what news media is. Feed something easy. And they fill in their show. Think of the local news programming. What does it start at 4 o'clock in the morning? Bulldog, do you know? Isn't it something ridiculous? 4:30 in the morning. It goes for hours. And then then they're on again at noon. Then they're on again for at least an hour at night. And then they've got, 2 channels in addition to their own channels, and they've got to fill space. So it's not all conspiracy. Although I've told you, Channel 16's newsroom is run by a left-wing lunatic. But an anti-Trump hater. But besides that, they need to fill time. I don't know who gave them the idea that this was a good thing. I guess it is economically. But they need filler. Well, people like Shapiro and his 21 minions know that. And so what do? They provide filler. And it's run. It's not even all, hey, we're for him, whatever. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, we have to take a break. I went way too far. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back with a little history, a little music, and then you at 570-883-0098 to call or to text. We are back. That's the Kinks. Murph tells us this date, 1964, they released their hit, You've Really Got Me in the U.S. And before that, 1910, this date, Thomas Edison, he demonstrated the kinetophone, a device for showing a movie with synchronized sound. How, man, thank God for these inventors, these tinkerers, these Imagineers, because, man, if things were left to people like me, I mean, you did what? How did you figure this out? It's so beyond my comprehension, these kind of devices, and it's unbelievable. Thomas Alva Edison. I don't know the name of, it was an African American. And you got to be thinking of the day and age, late 1800s, early 1900s, who was a very prominent assistant. Now, he may have had his own inventing shop had it not been for the time. Geez, I should know his name. I don't have it. Anyways, a small item before we go to the Veterans Tribute and the break and all that. The scrap paper, now they're rags, but you get, even a stop clock is right twice a day. But they had this article on the Sheets property up in the Abingtons. Now, I drive by there a lot. And if you'll notice, and it's been to my confusion, there's a Sheets, and it's fully operating. And then down the street, if you're going towards Scranton, if you're going into the Abingtons, it's on your left, it's afterwards. They're building a new facility. It's before, rather. So there's an unopened Sheets with some kind of plaza where they're letting the weeds grow up, unfinished plaza, and then there's the operating Sheets. Now, I was told they didn't own the land originally for the first Sheets, and now they do own the land for the second Sheets, although that's not clear from the article. But they've sued over a lease. It hasn't answered any of my confusion, but at least it's brought to my attention something that has confused me. Like, what are they doing there? Is there that much money in mediocre food and gas? I guess so. I guess so. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to come back. We got our Veterans Tribute, our first one. The weather, a little ditty that I found, and then we're going to go to the phones. We've got two of our favorites on the line, and we'll go to them after all of those things. We'll be back. Outside the Bloomsburg Legion, a tribute to veterans in addition to the ones Sam Elliott is talking about. What is a veteran? A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, is someone who, at one point in his or her life, wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for an amount of up to and including his or her life. Always remember that. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga. Well, it is Labor Day weekend coming up, a Festa Italiana. I know one of my stops is going to be not only at Sergei's, the nightclub, right there in the middle of the action, but I'll be at a Terra 519. I'm actually excited for it. And his great properties available all over the place. And then there's Serenity Care, the gold standard in senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. Absolutely incredible. 4 locations: Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. All totally renovated, redone. And they are the place to be for your loved one or yourself. Joseph Ayub. He was 78. Surrounded by his family, he passed away July 22nd. Born in Carbondale, raised in German, Joe graduated from Mayfield High School in 1965 and proudly served in the National Guard for 6 years. He married the love of his life, Joellen Polito Ayub, and together they shared 58 years of love, laughter, and devotion. Joe worked for many years at the Great Mesco Glass. He was known for his remarkable ability to fix almost anything, always learning, always lending a hand. Lifelong lover of music, he was a devoted friend and fan of the Poets and the Longo Brothers, often helping them set up for shows. He loved the Red Barons when they came out and a season ticket holder there. But more than anything, Joe loved helping people. His warmth and generosity touched everyone he met. He's survived by his wife, Joellen, his sons, his grandson, and other family members. Joseph Ayub. Jerry Gaughan. He was just 73 when he passed August 6th. He was from Scranton. He was born in that city, a graduate of Central High School. His family says he lived a life of service, love, and sarcastic humor. He was a member of the U.S. Army Reserves. Then he went on to serve in various capacities and eventually as Director of Emergency Services for Lackawanna County for over 20 years. A member of the St. Patrick's Day Parade Association. He was a bleeding Irish Catholic Scranton Democrat, they say. A proud member of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. Celebrated his Irish heritage with great intensity. He regretted very little in life, but not making it to this year's Festivus to air his grievances was high on the list. He survived by his children, grandchildren, and many other family members. Crossed political swords with Jerry often enough, but I was really sad to see that he had passed at such a young age. Jerry Gaughan. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga, who's going to have things happening downtown coincident with the great Festa Italiana. And, of course, by his great senior care facilities Serenity Care. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly sunny with a chance of a passing shower, high 72. Tonight, partly cloudy down to 50. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 72. Thursday, partly sunny with a chance of a late day shower, warming up just a tad, he says, 75. Bob Cordaro back with you here on WILK and the eponymous program. Oh, what a great song. Ode to Billy Joe. Murph tells us this date, 1967. Bobby Gentry made her way to number one. You can tell why. After just 4 weeks. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. And by the way, my man Sirius, who's up from the Avenue, because I'm asking these Sheets questions. And I got a little bit more context here. He tells me on the new property, the problem is with the retaining wall. It wasn't up to code. And that may be what the potential lawsuit is all about. Remember, they just filed, if you read the article, and if you don't, there's no need to read those rag newspapers, but I have to, so I'll share what's actually matters. The part of the story is that Sheets is suing or filed what's called a writ of summons. That means you're preparing to file a lawsuit, but you haven't filed it yet. In any event, they're still at the old one, still old location, still paying rent. I've noticed it's very busy for whatever reason, but it's a disaster, and it's sitting there. There's a Wendy's that's not being used. So you have some developer and I don't know coming in from Jersey, figuring I don't know. I mean, so we're gonna have a standstill. I guess they're moving forward with the construction. I never understood it in the first place. Let's go to the blower, because guess what? Coming from Plymouth, here he is. Larry from Plymouth. Hi, Larry. How are you, man?
Well, as good as could be expected for an old man.
Oh, by the way, no, I won't mention it while you're on because I know you'll get worked up. What do you got for us today, my man?
Okay, Bob. A couple of your hosts have been talking about this clown in Harrisburg that wants to bring back helmets.
Who is that?
I don't know what his name is, but he's got to be an idiot because, anyway. But, Bob.
I was shocked in the first place. I've said this on the air. I was shocked that the Democrats, and actually, well, he was a different cat altogether, but Ed Rendell is the one who got rid of the helmet requirement. Fascinating.
Yeah, I didn't know that. But see, I used to ride back in the but for one thing, Bob, when you wear a helmet, you can't hear good, and you don't have good peripheral vision.
Okay.
And another thing, I used to ride back in
Something
the
I never
60s.
thought about. Okay.
But back in the 60s, I used to ride. But when they brought the law, you had to wear helmets. That's when I stopped. Because for one thing, I'm claustrophobic. And okay, that's done with that. But then another thing too, Bob. I don't know if you've ever had anyone, but I know the other shows have had people on there with about suicide prevention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and here's the thing, Bob. You know, if somebody is in agony, either mentally or physically, it is nobody's damn business what somebody wants to do. You know, I had a buddy, and his name was Larry, like mine, and he's dead now. But he used to tell me all the time, he said, Larry, you know what's wrong? There's too many damn do-gooders. Too many do-gooders. And I didn't know exactly what he was talking about, but I learned quick. People, stick your head where the sun don't shine. Leave people alone. This is a free country. Don't they know that?
No.
Of course not.
By the way, most of these most of the do-gooders.
Oh my God, Bob. You know, and then it's a little bit with you with your religious fanaticism too. You know that you know. Bob, you know the song. I know there ain't no heaven, and I pray there ain't no hell. Well, Bob, there ain't either one. And I hate to tell you that. I know you're living in the land of Oz.
I love your certainty, Larry.
But yes, I am certain, Bob, because
Larry,
you know what?
let me say this. I always tell my atheist friends this, and I've got a bunch of them, and I say this. I think I even told you when we were together.
Probably 100 times.
I say this. Well, if you're right and I'm wrong, when I die, so what? If I'm right and you're wrong and there is a vengeful God, wow, are you in for it?
No, Bob, but believe me, Bob, I'm giving you straight. There is none.
All right.
But anyway, Bob, here's the thing I want to leave you with. And listen to this. He who knows best knows how little he knows. And if you're smart,
that's why your
know.
certainty on this issue confuses me exactly because of that statement.
But I'm just saying, if you're smart, Bob, you know how little you know. If you're stupid, you think you know everything. Am I right or wrong?
Well, that's sort of the essential question, Larry. You know there isn't one. I don't know. I believe.
Definitely. But, Bob, I'm not saying something doesn't go on. Something does go on, but I just believe in different dimensions. I don't believe in the pearly gates because you ain't going to meet no St. Peter or nothing like that.
I do hope we get to talk about it on the other side, Larry.
I think you will, Bob. I think I will, Bob, because, for one thing, Bob, I'm a damn good person.
All right. I love you. All right,
man.
Larry, we got to go. We're hard break. Hard break, no time. Bloomberg Money Minute. We don't like to cut them off, but it's time. Elvis, we got to wait for this change of pace here. There we go. Murph tells us this date, 1969. Elvis Presley released a single, Suspicious Minds. Bob Cordaro on the eponymous program. A bunch of you caught, well, one more on the Sheets thing. Somebody says they're having all kinds of issues on the construction of the new Sheets, I guess. So I don't. It's quite an interesting thing to make the massive investment they made for the first Sheets facility and then make a second one. I don't understand it. Somebody's on the helmet issue. If you don't wear a helmet, you're just stupid. I get hit from behind by a drunk driver at a red light and flew up and over the car, landed on my head. Ruined my helmet. Without it, I wouldn't be there. I'm not a bike guy. I'm not a motorcycle guy. I always thought I would be, but I had 5 kids. There wasn't time like, oh, let's go for a long ride in the car. I just never had time. And now it's like, I like my car. I like Big Lou if I'm going to go somewhere. But, okay. But again, it's the job. It's not the job of you to tell somebody else not to wear a helmet. It just isn't. And if they want the freedom not to wear one, no big deal. Yeah, we might have to absorb some of their medical bills, but you got to have some little bits of freedom. And in any event, somebody says, why does the guy talk about John Basiliga all the time? I figured it was a sponsor. But when someone's covering the show, there's no mention of the guy. So it sounds like just some extremely local wealthy man who's getting a free spot on the radio show. No, he's a sponsor. He sponsors our veterans. He's a true, full-blown patriot in addition to being a great guy, great business guy. And he sponsors our veterans tribute, which is central to the show. So he helps make the show happen. That's the big thing. Hey, I just looked at my Ricardo Jewelers watch. It tells me it's 10 o'clock and change, almost 10:01, which means we've got to go to the news. We'll take a break. We'll hear the news. We'll come back on the Bob Cordaro Show. So much more to talk about because we've got to get into this Cracker Barrel thing. Somebody brought it up. I was listening to it yesterday, finding out what the heck's going on. Yeah, it's another Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light deal, it seems like. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. 10:08 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Tuesday, August 26, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great family of companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like Jerry Gaughan of Scranton, Joseph Ayub, Carbondale, German, Mayfield, Harold Vandermark, Wanamae, Frank Schmidt, West Hazelton, Jeffrey Pensick, Scranton, Leda, Florida, and Bob Bogart, Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle, gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of this morning. Why? Because the Democrat Party's leadership, the entire leadership, has gone batty. And you need it. You need to say, am I hearing what I'm hearing? And it goes to the Cracker Barrel thing. Now, somebody texted this in on a different topic. Look into Cracker Barrel beyond the moniker adjustment. And by the way, they're remodeling all their stores. I thought the cool thing about Cracker Barrel, and I like the food too, by the way, is that it was the tchotchke, the Americana. I thought it was a great thing. But our listener says for years they've been involved in gay pride and other subversive activities. Thanks to their new WILK CEO, we are now learning about their true mission. I can't go all the way with you on that. I don't agree that gay pride is subversive in any way. It's the people who lead the gay pride initiatives who are subversives. It's a huge difference and a very important distinction. But I just look at it and I say, and I've heard the discussion, and I've heard this idiot woman CEO say, oh, well, everybody loves the conversion. Well, basically, they're trying to turn what was sort of classic Americana into a modern restaurant, or modern restaurants, because it's a huge chain, modern restaurants that you could see and experience anywhere. It just doesn't make any sense. You've got a unique shtick. I think good food. Now, it's not exactly a diet joint, but you've got a shtick. You've got an identity, and now you're going to take it away. It's like one of these things of change for change's sake. Dust off the miniature tractor trailer or whatever the hell. Dust it more often if that's. But don't ruin the chic, the shabby chic, whatever thing they had going was theirs. And now we're going to be exactly what everybody else is. This is a profoundly stupid person, and whoever assisted her in this effort, they're dumb too. Please don't assume that since someone gets to a position of power, a position of authority, that they have any brains in their head. Really. I'm like, okay, let's think about this. It's by the way, no different than me being a mayor of a city being offered help with my crime problem. Now, if it saved one life of a citizen I'm sworn to represent, I have to do it. So this is this shady, idiotic thinking of left-wing lunatics, who this CEO may very well be. And so you're saying, well, okay, there's a million places to go to eat. There's more places to eat than even at my weight than I could go to. And so I'm going to take something that's distinct. Maybe because I hate America and I hate our customer base. Because they're regular people and maybe they're conservative. So I hate them so much that I'm going to ruin what I inherited as CEO. Something that took decades to build up. An image, a feeling. So I'm not going to tinker on the edges. I'm going to blow it up. It really is. It's akin to tearing down statues. What this fool has done at Cracker Barrel. And what is it? Now we're down to $140 million in market value evaporating. It's just the Dylan Mulvaney thing. Who's your beer drinker? Oh, it's a transvestite celebrating 1 year of transition. What? I'm telling you, you can't make up the stupidity of these people on the left. These wokesters. You can't make it up. All right. My man Luciano's been holding for a long time, and he's been patient with us. And he's got you've got a theme song now. You've got to get used to this.
I'm never get used to that.
Ice, baby. You chose wisely.
I like it. There's people out there foaming at the mouth and listening to that record.
Well, we love Ice. We love Ice on this program. We love them. We don't like them. We love them. Okay, Luciano, what do you got for me, man?
I got two statements quickly. I'll tell you what they secretly say in the hood. Black brother, he's a Republican. I'll just tell you what they secretly say, Republican conservatives. The radical liberals, this Cracker Barrel is based on Judeo-Christian white evangelicals that have formed this country, that has created this great country. That's why cracker is a slang word, I'm sure you know, because you lived in some terrible situations, and I have too. Cracker means that what it says is derogatory against white European people that have come to this country that made it a great country. That's
I would think, by the way, I would think a better name. I think a better name would be Saltine. You know, because crackers come in all colors, so I don't know.
Well, you generally speaking, it's when black people and other people want to insult.
Well, I used to say to my friends, I say to my Latino and African American friends in prison, I would say, can't you guys come up with something better than that? I can't even pretend to be offended by being called a cracker.
Yeah, I know. I brush it off. They can call me wetback or whatever they want to call me, a spick. I don't care. That reflects on your character.
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
In a negative way. But I want to talk about specifically, and I'm not criticizing you because personally, we talked about ego. That last caller, I love him because he's great. He's outspoken, and I've met atheists that are for the Ten Commandments. Believe it or not, they support what Louisiana, other states have the Ten Commandments. And I've met one particular atheist. He's more Christian than Christians, and he supports putting the Ten Commandments in the public schools.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're a bad person.
Absolutely,
it just
not.
means you're really playing with fire, in my view.
Yes, and there's people like, don't forget in the Bible the one that's side by side with Jesus, and he at the last end Jesus saved them, and he said your sins are forgiven, and this day forward you will meet me in paradise. Jesus said it to the sinner, and so he can be saved, and so I always put that aside. I have a brother that's in that same situation, unfortunately, but I want to talk about this. These politicians, these Republican politicians, I hope they get a bucket full of guts and confront these Hispanic, Latino newscasts, Telemundo, Univision. They insult American Latino conservatives. They throw it all out there. This lady from Congresswoman from Illinois, she's a DACA. She's not an American citizen. Her parents are not citizens. They came to this country. DACA means you're not an American citizen. She was granted. She's a radical Democrat.
Yep.
She's a congresswoman in Illinois. She's in charge of. She's part of the panel of Homeland Security, and she dares say. And I hope these Republicans, I wonder why they don't confront that lady. She said she's in Guatemala. And she said in Spanish in Mexico. She said she's proud, first of all, that she's born and raised in Guatemala, and second of all, she's proud to be an American citizen. How insulting can you get?
Well, no, yeah,
Bob?
she wasn't. She's more proud to be of Guatemalan heritage than she is of being an American. And I thought to myself, well, why don't we deport you to Guatemala and see if you resist? let's see how that works out.
And you as a lawyer, legally, I found this out. She's the first non-citizen that's a congressperson that is in charge of politics that helps control this country. She's a non-citizen. DACA means non-citizen. That means you're undocumented. You're a migrant. And why don't these Republicans stand up and confront that lady and say, well, you said what you said, which is disgraceful, and yet you're the first, historically speaking, you're the first Latina or the first American. By the way, her husband is undocumented. He's a DACA person, too. How do you like that, Bob? And his two father and mother that lives in Illinois, in Chicago, they're also DACA.
What district is she from? Where is her district? Where is her district?
I don't know. I know she's in Illinois. She's a congresswoman in Illinois, and somewhere, maybe in Chicago, that radical state with that radical mayor. And by the way, Bob, have you noticed that I love my black brothers and sisters? Have you noticed all these radical big cities are controlled by radical black African American people? Los Angeles, a black woman. Philadelphia, a black woman. Chicago, a black man.
The scam worked out for them, Larry or Luciano. The scam worked out. The left-wing scam works for them. The race card works for them. And they're just going to keep going until African Americans and inner city people step up and say, you've been using us for long enough. You've been making things worse for us for long enough, and now we're out. We're out. We're not for you anymore. It's going to take people to do that. Yep.
Well, more and more blacks are waking up to this insanity called the mass illegalization. They're separating themselves from these migrants. Thank you, Bob.
All right, man. Always a pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye.
We got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Looking Glass had their only number one hit, one more than I have, with Brandy. Murph says this date, 1972. And, of course, women's suffrage, this date, 1920. And that's that mention of there's a wise saying that I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember it exactly. They talk about the women who started the suffrage movement, women's vote, didn't live to see it come to fruition. And it reminds me of, I get this thing on Instagram, wise something or other. I don't know what it's called anyway, but these wise sayings come through. And one of them is to the effect of true wisdom occurs from someone who plants a tree knowing they will never be under its shade. And I think that's so essential to community and country going forward. Isn't it something? In any event. Somebody texts in, Larry, who claims it's a free country, I have an R after my name. And I would like everyone to wear helmets because I'm tired of my insurance premiums being tied to their lack of safety. Now, there's another aspect to it. Fascinating. Somebody else, Bob LTS, it's absolutely magical to watch the left contort themselves to counter everything Trump does. For instance, they're now saying how safe Chicago is when 6 people were shot this past weekend. And there's been 208 murders so far this year. Unbelievable. And they stand there with righteous indignation. Unbelievable. Somebody texted, Bob, I recall the term cracker referred to the people that transported the slaves to America that cracked whips to keep control of them. I've never heard that, although I was assuming it was the color of a cracker. All right. Fascinating. Fascinating. Somebody's listening on delay with Odyssey. I'm sure you covered this. When I use the Google Assistant search, now I'm getting so many texts that they keep rolling as I'm reading. Where is it? Darn it. I get a lot of texts. My apologies for struggling through this. All right. When I use the Google Assistant search where you ask a question, it told me that Sheets did not open because the huge retaining wall behind it is bulging and leaks water. The new Wendy's has a similar fate. I think the buildings have essentially been done for close to 2 years while litigation crawls. All right. And that's what Sirius said. The retaining wall is the problem. Fascinating. But this new turn on cracker, when you even think of the savagery. Bob, good morning. LTS, enjoy it so much. You've wondered what could have possibly occurred to change Bob Casey and Matt Cartwright from moderate conservative leaning to staunch liberals. Liberals is not. I think of a liberal as someone who's like, oh, let's be nice to everyone. These people are vicious. They're leftists and lunatics. Anyway, who embrace the Looney Tune nut jobs on the far left. Here's my take on it. Despite their claims, neither ever. Where the heck's the rest of this? It's a tough. I don't know where you finish. In any event, so my guess is you're saying that essentially they never really believed in the moderate conservative position. I don't know. You go to, and that, by the way, that's from Ernie from Falls, but Ernie, it broke up. Your text broke up. But in any event, I know what you're saying. You figured that power and money corrupted them. I think the desire to win and be part of the gang was part of all of that. Like, okay, give us your vote on this. And soon enough, Matt Cartwright and Bob Casey found themselves to be left-wing lunatics. In all but name, in my view. I don't think they ever... I don't know. I mean, man, you had some passion with their left-wing positions. And they've all lied about a lot of stuff that Trump was saying and doing. So I don't know. Were they co-opted or did they actually become leftists? I don't know. Let's go to Barbara from Courtdale. Hi, Barbara. How are you?
Good. I have two things I want to say. One thing is that Luzerne County Republican Party is going to the dogs. They're not doing nothing. Now, that said,
okay, I don't agree with you, but I don't agree with you, but go ahead.
Oh, they are, because they're not doing nothing to help the people. They really aren't. Really.
What do you want them to do?
I want them to start getting some people that have a little more brains than what they're picking.
Well, it's hard to get.
They're not picking too many people with smart.
I was having this conversation, Barbara. I was having this conversation with somebody just yesterday, and they posed the question: well, who's going to run for Lackawanna County Commissioner, for example?
Oh
now,
God,
I could speak for that office, obviously, but it doesn't matter. The context is the same no matter where you go. Who's crazy enough to do this?
Right.
Who wants to put up with this for frankly a minimal salary? And I mean, having lived it, I get it. It's a crazy thing. And so you get people, generally speaking, who this is the best job they've ever had or ever will have running for office, with
right.
exceptions that are increasingly rare. So you can't blame the Republican Party for that. And then let's look on the other side, U.S. Congress. One of the most accomplished people in private business and industry Rob Bresnahan running for Congress. Dan Muser, same thing. How did we get lucky enough to have them? Dave McCormick for Senate. But when I look on the Democrat side, I see a bunch of jokes. So I'm actually.
I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I see you and I wanting more out of the Republican Party, but they're the only ones giving us anything at the moment.
No. Now, how do you get rid of these crank spam calls? I get 10, 15 calls a day.
Well, I guess there is a do not call list from what I recall.
No, it does not work.
Okay.
I called the federal government. They says, well, we just have to sit there. You just don't answer. And the government is doing absolutely nothing to stop these spam calls.
Mm-hmm.
I get them at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then it don't stop till 9 o'clock at night. And I get like 10, 15 calls a day.
I mean, I can let you vent, but I don't know anything about that other than putting yourself on the do not call list. I don't generally answer my phone.
I did that.
I don't generally answer my phone, but I mean, that's me. I don't know if that's a solution for other people.
They do not. It don't work.
Oh, I'm getting spam texts now, and I just I press a thing that says report junk and remove.
Right. I mean, what is the phone company doing to help? And it's not only one phone company; it's a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a solution.
What are they actually doing?
I don't have a solution for you, Barbara.
And one other thing. When are they going to start really, really deporting some of these illegals?
Well, they've started. You would think that they deported 70 million people at this point. On a good note, they're telling us that 1.6 million illegals deported themselves. That's a good thing. And we've stopped the inflow. So truly a positive direction in a very short period of time. Remember when they lied and said they couldn't close the border? Remember that lie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biden was good at that.
Yeah, well, he's a sickening disgrace.
But I tell you,
But Barb, we have to
get
go.
rid of them because there's too many of them. They go in the food lines, and the American people are getting nothing. But you see the Mexicans and the Guatemalans and wherever they're coming from. They're there in them food lines like crazy.
Well, nobody. Let me say this. You know what I also see, Barbara? And let's be fair. I see a lot of who I assume are illegal aliens working incredibly hard and incredibly long days.
True.
I see that too. So
they're the greatest roofers on earth.
Well, and they're doing a lot of hard work. God bless them.
Yes.
Hey, we got to go, Barbara.
Do.
I gotta go. But
okay.
I love you, and thank you for calling.
Okay, bye.
All right, darling. I don't know what to do about spam calls, except that do not disturb list or whatever that's called. But do what I do. Don't answer the phone. I have it on silent because of the radio show, so I never hear it or see it when somebody calls. If they text, I get it. But, Anyway, we've got to go. We'll take a break. Hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back with our Veterans Tribute, the weather, and more on the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. I'm already thinking weekend. All those great restaurants, and they'll be right in the middle of the action at a Terra 519 in Sergey's. Harold Vandermark. He was 85. He was from Wanami. He passed away August 11th. He was born at home in Wanami. Attended Newport Township schools. He enlisted with the U.S. Army, serving us with the 101st Airborne, Company E, 1st Airborne Battle Group, 501st Infantry, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. He served 3 years and was honorably discharged in 1961. Early in life, Harold worked in the Wanami mines as well as for Biscontini Coal Company, I apologize. He later worked for many years at Independent Explosives in Avoca until retiring. Member of St. Faustina Kowalska Parish, Nanakoke. He had previously belonged to St. Francis of Assisi Church. He was preceded in death, sadly, by his wife, the former Lee Bellis, surviving a brother, a sister-in-law, stepdaughter, and other family members. Harold Vandermark. Frank Schmidt. We lost him August 12th. He was from West Hazelton. He collapsed while gardening. Born in Manayunk, near Philadelphia, he's the last surviving member of his immediate family. He served us as mayor of West Hazelton for 2 terms before, I guess, getting it and retiring from public office. Following high school, he served with the U.S. Navy for 5 years. He then worked on yachts for several businessmen before relocating to West Hazelton with his bride, the former Elaine Casarella, who we met while he was vacationing in the islands. After locating to West Hazelton, he worked for Barrett and Hengens, Dorr Oliver, and then operated his own landscaping business. Remember the great Freeland VFW, the Hazelton Lions Club, where he was president 96 and 97. He'd been honored with the Lions International Melvin Jones Award in 1999. Preceding him in death were siblings and his parents. He's survived by his wife, Elaine, his son, his daughter, grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, nieces, and nephews. Frank Schmidt, our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care, the gold standard for senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly sunny with a chance of a passing shower, 72 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 50. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 72. Thursday, partly sunny with a chance of a late day shower, 75 degrees. Kathy Hochul, The idiotic governor of New York State. Dear God, where do they find these people, the Democrat Party? My word. Merv tells us the Hollies. This date 72 moved up to number 3 with their hit Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress. Hey, it's Tuesday. It's about that time, a little later. But that means we've got Rebecca Martino from Stately Pet Supply in Clark Summit, and she's with us now. Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Bob, I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I always love hearing my song chime on when I'm on hold.
You got a theme song. Well, we insist on that anymore. You know.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you also for letting me pick it. That was great. I thought maybe not too hard about it, but I thought for a long time. I'm like, okay, all right, don't screw this up. This is your shot. What could be your song? Anyway, so no, I'm doing fine today. How's Chauncey?
Chauncey's great. He's a superstar.
Okay,
when I'm running late, I like to take him into the studio once in a while. And I didn't have a chance today because I was running late. And, it takes extra time to bring the dog in. So he's home in the cage.
But he's such a mellow dog. He seems like you could bring him to work, do your show for hours, and he would just snore at your feet, maybe be a little background noise snoring. But
he's a cool dude.
Okay. How is he? So that brings me to, because he's still pretty much a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to talk about chews today. Do you find that he likes chewing on things and bones and longer chews, not just a quick biscuit?
Yes,
is he a chewer?
But not he. We've not had a furniture problem with him or anything like that yet. Thank God.
Lucky you. See, he's a mellow guy. So that could lead me into how a lot of people probably are not so lucky, and if their dog does not have something appropriate to chew on, they will find something, whether it is a shoe, some furniture. Usually the most precious stuff in your house is what they decide to destroy. So I was just going to make this quick and simple and easy about chews that are out there for dogs. We have so many. When you first walk in the store, there's a whole chew bar, I like to call it. And one of my more fun Cordaro show on TV skits was when I brought in some examples to hold up in front of the camera, and they were things that really show you there's very little waste in the pet industry.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs chew on so many things. I brought in beef snouts. I think I held up a duck head. There are so many things, and when they're appropriately prepared, knowing a dog is going to consume it, things that we're otherwise afraid of, like chicken bones and things like that, when they're freeze-dried, they're appropriate for dogs. It's the chews that, let's say a chicken bone we may have prepared for ourselves, we roasted it, or we baked it, or we fried it. Those bones, when calcium is exposed to that level of heat, that's when it becomes brittle and sharp and things like that. So a lot of the industry is either freeze-dried or frozen. But anyway, in general, I'll keep it short, but I would just love to see anyone that is having trouble finding something that will last for their dog that is also safe. I have no shortage of things that will last a long time.
Well, like, for example, somebody got Chauncey something. It was not a Stately Pet Supply product, so I don't want to look askance.
You raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, I raised an eyebrow, but and then it flaked all over the floor, all over the carpet. We had a vacuum after the dog got done with it. And I'm like, no, we don't want this.
Some chews are like that. Some chews are like that. They are, my guess is that it may have been some sort of compressed thing with like a gelatin kind of held it together. Some of them are very granola bar style where they're pressed together like that instead of one single ingredient chew. But there are all types. And with personal preferences just like that, where, hey, I don't want to chase this with my vacuum cleaner after this and dig it out of my carpet. Anybody can stop by, and we will show you things that for your big, giant, heavy chewers will last you a couple hours for like $9. There are a lot of things out there. It does not have to be expensive, and we'll help pick the right ones. Nothing made in China, nothing sourced from China. That's where we really shine. So we'd love to see anybody.
Nice.
And Chauncey, of course, too, is one of them.
Rebecca Martino, Stately Pet Supply, thank you. And have a great Labor Day weekend.
You too, Bob. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Bachman Turner Overdrive. They released their great album, Not Fragile. This date, 1974, Murph played for us. You ain't seen nothing yet. Actually, the Bulldog played it. Murph picked it. Bob Cordaro back on the program. TJ from Wilkes-Barre's on the blower. How are you, man?
Hey, how's my brother doing?
Doing great.
So the lady called up and she was talking about candidates and why don't we have better candidates in Luzerne County. I think it's everywhere.
Yeah.
The reason is this, Bob, is that a lot of people that have integrity, and especially in Luzerne County, and are grassroots people, they don't have money. And it really does take money to get the campaigns. And then when you have the money, usually it's a certain percentage of people that put that money in. And then what happens is that sometimes you're bought and paid for, or you're going to be getting contracts for people, and it's hard. There's a certain group of people that we call connected, the elite, the establishment, and there's a reason why they're the establishment, because the gears go, they own the party, they get their own candidates, they fund their own candidates, and then we get what we get. Number two is that in county council, they only get paid $8,000 a year. You and I are such advocates for going back to the commissioners. If we had three people that were responsible and they were voted for and getting them out, we don't like the manager, not the manager system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening in Luzerne County, is that the people that get to be in that power are usually not.
My experience has been for so many of them, particularly on the other side, by the way, because that's what I observe. They're dominant. It's the best job they're ever going to have. And the best job, it's beyond their qualifications. And that means we're screwed. That's crazy.
We are. And honestly, it's I think a lot of people go in with good intentions, but once they get in the swamp, it becomes the swamp and they get devoured. And then they want to get reelected. How do you get reelected? You got to get money. And how do you get money? Well, you got to sell yourself out. And that's the problem with politics. And that's everywhere. And so, I think if we're not going to get back to that system, because of course the home rule went up there, and they're going to do another home rule instead of on the ballot for what we wanted with three commissioners. So we're screwed in Luzerne County. We're screwed for another 5 years at least until we get it back on the ballot, because it really doesn't matter. And it's sad that the people with the money always put their thumb on the scale, because it's about who's getting a job or who's getting a contract. And that's why it gets really ugly locally, where we had when Trump was there, when Bresnahan was running, when McCormick was running, when Muser was running. Oh, my God, we were one big happy family. We were celebrating. We were working together. And then as soon as the county politics come in, we're a divided party. Yeah. We're a divided people.
Well, let's hope for the best, TJ. You just keep doing your great work. It'll work out. It's certainly gotten better. It's gotten better.
It is. It has gotten better. A lot of work ahead of us, and I'm not going to give it up. I have faith in the people, and honestly, you know what? If we start listening to people and we keep on having these events, and the politicians keep on coming to these events and listening to them, even when they disagree, at least they're listening.
Amen. Thank you, man.
You, brother.
Appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
Hey, my Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:02. It's not a Breitling watch, which they sell. It's not an Oris watch. It's not a Longines watch. It's not a Michelle watch. It's not a Shinola watch. It's not a Luminox. It's not a Swiss Army watch. It's not a Seiko watch. And they sell them all. It is a Picardo watch. We'll be back after the news. You know it, Levon. Great good morning, everyone. My Ricardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:09 here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Tuesday, August 26, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and one of his great companies, Serenity Care, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we salute this day because we lost them this year. Frank Schmidt, West Hazelton, Harold Vandermark, Wanami, Jerry Gaughan, Scranton, Joseph Ayub, Carbondale, German, and Mayfield, Bob Bogert, Bloomsburg, and Dana Williams, Hughesville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that because the Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right, and yes, the double entendre is intended, that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for you in a world where an entire political party, the Democrats, the establishment, the global elite, have all gone insane. You need this. I promise you do. I know I do. Well, one of the things I talk about a lot, I talk about standards of living. And how I go harken back to my old neighborhood, middle class. One guy worked at a middling job at a bank, raised 3 kids, house. Nobody ever wanted for anything. Nobody was living lavishly. One guy sold tires. Another guy worked at the RCA plant. And everybody, one guy was a butcher. Mailman, and everybody lived. Well, what happened to that standard of living? I've told you one of the conclusions I've drawn is this imbalanced world trading system that Trump is trying to address. But there's a lot of reasons for it. And the Washington Examiner, we talk to their reporters often. Now, they have something called Restoring America Editor, which says a lot about the Washington Examiner. It says, hey, they care. They're into this stuff. They're going deep. But there's a question. Why are millennials and Gen Zs, they're entering the workforce more educated, more productive than any generation before them, so to speak? I don't happen to think so. They've had more education time. But that's about it. But at the same time as they've had all these years in school and so forth, they're falling behind when it comes to home ownership and wealth building. Well, Jeremiah Poff, he is the Restoring America editor at the Washington Examiner, and he is with us. He's been writing about this generational divide, the economic realities fueling it, and he's with us now. Jeremiah, welcome to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's cut to the chase. What is the problem? What is the difference?
Well, I think, you touched on it about the standard of living over the last several decades, how you could, at one point, you could have a job, working a middling job at the bank or selling tires, and you could provide for your family, 3 kids, car, and you could own your house.
Yeah. And the wives didn't work. This was Ozzie and Harrietville I grew up in,
Right. And for a lot of people, that was their common experience growing up. And I was very blessed growing up. My dad worked and my mom stayed at home and homeschooled 6 kids. And,
wow.
That was a great blessing for me and my family. But, I look at the landscape today. I'm 28 years old. I think that there's a lot of that idea of of economic success just feels very far away. And, one of the reasons I think, Trump tapped into it when he ran all three times was the trade issue. You know, a lot, especially in Middle America, Pennsylvania, you know, Ohio, Michigan. They saw their jobs get outsourced to, you know, other countries through trade. But at the same time, you saw a massive you've seen a continuing concentration of wealth. And at the risk of sounding like a socialist, I do think that these two things are very related.
Which, by the way, is a risk on this show.
Well, you know, I'm not going to subscribe to any socialist solution, but I think that the problem itself is very important to note, because, you know, one of the things that makes the American project so unique and so successful historically was the large middle class. Because when you have a large middle class, it's very difficult for class divisions to take hold. And when you start seeing concentrations of wealth, that's when you start seeing class divisions start to become more appealing to people. Because the truth is that when you're not happy with the politics of resentment, blaming other people for your problems is really, really appealing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I look at the current economic landscape. You know, I have many friends who are educated. They work hard. They've got, you know, they got married. They've got a kid or two, and they all struggle to find ways to support their families on one income and be able to own their home. And, you know, there are, I think, two reasons for this. One is we've started treating housing in particular as a investment, almost like a corporate investment, like owning a stock share, instead of a place that you like put down roots and establish yourself. And what that's done is that it's made it much more difficult for companies that want to build housing to be able to secure the ability to do so in their communities through zoning and whatnot, because the people who live there don't want more houses to be built because it affects their property value. And when that happens, you end up seeing a lot of people who are young who then get priced out of the market because there's no starter homes for them. And so to me, that's one of the biggest issues with the government involvement in this, has helped create a wealth gap where the older people in particular are seeing their net worth balloon and thus contributing to the wealth gap, whereas young people who are just starting to set up their lives and trying to start families, they're having a hard time getting their feet set.
Jeremiah Puff is our guest. He is the Restoring America editor at Washington Examiner. Now, one of the concepts is the baby boomers are transferring their wealth to younger generations. Has that begun in earnest? I'm guessing it has.
I mean, if it has, I haven't really seen it. I mean, The other thing, there's neighborhoods in the regions of Virginia where I grew up in that when I was a kid, you know, my parents bought their house for $375,000 in 2005, right? You know, right before the housing market really took off before the crash. Mm-hmm. And today that house is worth about twice that. Yeah. And you know, that was on a one income that they were able to afford that. You know, that's just not possible for a lot of people anymore because, you know, they've been priced out, and there's that generational divide that's been growing. You know, you can easily there is an aspect of young people who are not interested in laying down roots and want to go get rent an apartment in New York City or Washington D.C. for $4,000 a month because it lets them live their yuppie lifestyle. But, you know, broadly speaking, the issue is still present for a lot of people.
Do they have to migrate to areas like Northeast Pennsylvania to get affordable housing and then figure out how to make a living after that? Or do they stay in these big cities that they're wedded to, that they've been priced out of?
Well, you know, that's a really good question. I think that part of the reason why people have been driven out of places like Northeast Pennsylvania is that the economic opportunities aren't there. And I think this is why President Trump was so resonant in those regions, is because he said, I'm going to bring back the jobs and the economic engines that built your communities and helped you establish the roots that your kids are having trouble finding. And I think that was a very powerful message. And time will tell if he's successful, but I'm confident that it seems like he's really trying hard to do that, especially with the trade deals that he's striking with other countries.
Jeremiah Poff, are millennials and Gen Z voters, in your experience and in your researching this issue, are they getting that the tariffs might be one of the main keys to restoring their opportunity?
That's a really good question, and the short answer is I think some are, but I think the big issue with this, the big view of this point is like nothing's worked. Let's just try something new at this point.
Yeah,
I don't know if they have a really well thought out. Oh yes, this is the economic reasons why this is going to work. But what we've been doing has failed, so let's just try something new.
So many young people are disaffected. We saw that in the New York City Democrat primary for mayor, and you've got a communist who's, again, he's looking to blow things up, but from a place that's proven to fail over generations. But the fact that he's promising to blow things up is having young people follow him.
Yeah, and I would bet that there's plenty of people who support Zoran Mamdani who would say, I don't agree with his communist ideas, but he's promising to blow up the system, and that's why I'm voting for him.
Yeah. Is that obviously not a prevailing attitude, but is that one of the core attitudes in millennials and Gen Z?
I think especially among Gen Z, because Gen Z was the generation that came of age during COVID and during the lockdowns and the learning loss and all these other devastating things socially and economically and culturally, that they're just disillusioned with everything, and they want anybody who's got a big gun and a target, and they'll vote for that guy.
Yeah. There is no solution, I guess, at this point. But one of the points you made is that if we don't expand housing opportunities and we keep having wealth concentration, it's a threat to the free market. It's a threat to capitalism, which to me is just economic freedom.
Right, and I think I mentioned in there as well that the French Revolution and the Russian Revolution were, two violent, earth-shattering, world-changing events. Were both presaged by massive income inequality.
Yeah.
So there's a history of where this can go that doesn't look pretty.
My word. Are you okay? Other than the tariffs and Trump policies, which I think are right on economically, particularly for working class individuals, do you find a divide between white collar millennials and Gen Zers and blue collar from those same age groups?
I think, yes, because those who are white collar tend to have much more economic opportunities, but they may still have difficulties buying a house and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Whereas those who are in blue collar, they don't even have the economic opportunities. Yeah. And so those are the group that are even more disillusioned, that was, I think, a big reason why Trump, was dead even on the youth vote in 2024, was because of those blue collar voters that were younger. And he did something that no Republican had done in 25 years, which was, make the youth vote competitive.
Yeah. Jeremiah Poff is our guest. He's the Restoring America editor at the Washington Examiner. Next time we have you on, we'll have to talk about that. I think that is very innovative by the Examiner. Strange this came up today and that we were able to get you for today. This is the 2-year anniversary of Oliver Anthony's song, Rich Men North of Richmond, which we're going to finish the program with. It debuted at number 1. The first artist with no chart history to do so. And it spoke to exactly what you're writing about.
Yeah, there was a reason that I think the first Republican primary debate for the 2024 cycle there was a question about that song, I think right off the bat too. because it speaks to the broader cultural trends that people are experiencing. Their homes, their lives don't feel safe. They don't feel stable, and that's where the resentment builds. That's where the fear of, am I ever going to be successful? That's where that comes from. And if you don't address that, there are many, many drastic consequences that can come from it.
Amen. Well, Jeremiah Poff, thank you very much. Let's keep following this. We're here. We're here anytime you want to talk more about this issue or any of the other issues that come across your desk as the Restoring America editor at the Washington Examiner. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Jeremiah Poff, Washington Examiner. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Step outside the Bloomsburg Legion. You'll see a stone that says, "What is a veteran?" A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, and I would add peacetime or during war, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount up to and including his or her life. Well, this hour and every hour, this day and every day, our Veterans Tribute is brought to you by John Basiliga. And today, one of his great companies, Serenity Care, the gold standard for senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. 4 locations: Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. The local owner, he's got a passion for providing the highest quality senior care in the area with beautiful personal care homes for seniors to live in. Robert E. Bob Bogart, decorated Vietnam veteran who rode motorcycles. Bob Bogart was from Scott Township in Bloomsburg, formerly of Stillwater. We lost him August 13th at his Scott Township home. His wife, Joan, by his side, holding his hand. He was born in Bloomsburg. He and his wife and best friend, Joan, were together since 1979 and had just celebrated their 22nd anniversary, February 14th. Bob was a 1968 graduate of Benton High School. He faithfully and honorably served his country and the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War in country from January 30th of 70 to January 23rd, 1973. Highly decorated. He was awarded the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, the Vietnam Campaign Medal with Device 60, the Army Commendation Medal, the Vietnam Cross of Gallantry with Palm, Expert Hand Grenade, Marksman, M16, and the Bronze Star Medal. Longtime employee of Bloomsburg Carpet Company, where he retired in 2016 after 38 years. Former member of the Benton VFW. He was an outdoorsman. He loved riding his motorcycle. In addition to his wife, Joan, siblings, nieces, nephews, they all survive him. Bob Bogart. Dana Williams. He loved reading, NASCAR, travel. He passed away Friday, August 8th, surrounded by his family. He was born 1953, Olean, New York. 1971 graduate of Hughesville High School and a 1973 graduate of Williamsport Area Community College, now known as the Pennsylvania College of Technology. He served us in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, 1973 to 1980. He retired from Equipment Depot, formerly Forklifts, Inc., in 2015, where he was affectionately known as the Bloomsburg branch. Dana was a former Boy Scout. He volunteered for the Hughesville and Strathmore Hills Fire Companies, and he donated many pints of platelets for leukemia patients. Dana Williams is survived by the love of his life and wife of 53 years, Susan. His daughters, grandchild, and other family members. He will also be missed by his Tuesday morning breakfast club. Dana Williams. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly sunny with a chance of a passing shower, 72 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 50. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 72. Thursday, partly sunny with a chance of a late day shower, 75. No news on the weather this weekend for Festa Italiana in downtown Scranton. We shall see. Sorry, indulging in a little chair dancing here. This day, 1981, the Stones. They released their album, Tattoo You, Murph tells us. He picked Start Me Up from that album. Let's go right to Kendall from Sugar Notch on the Murley Center fundraiser he's involved with. Kendall, welcome back. How are you, man? Kendall, are you there?
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yes, sir, I'm here. I just want to thank you for letting me come on the air and alert your listeners to the fact that this is our 6th annual Gino Murley fundraising motorcycle ride. We began at Electric City Harley Davidson out there on the Carbondale Highway, I guess.
Route 6.
And it's this is not meant for Harley Davidsons or anything. I mean, we're starting out at the Harley Davidson Center. This is solely sponsored by the Hog Group, the Harley's Owners Group. It's a private, membership aside from being, driving a Harley. But if you have a motorcycle, I don't care if it's 100 cc's or 2,000 cc's or a three-wheeler, anything. You need to come and experience this. This is kickstands up at 12:30 this Saturday, and there's food there. I mean, there's activities going on there. But if you can experience one time shaking the hands of these veterans, that they, we ride to the Gino Murley Center. They have all these vets sitting out in their wheelchairs and everything else.
Wow.
And we can go through there and shake and introduce ourselves and thank all these heroes for their service. And it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Kendall, you brought a tear to my eye. I'm just picturing it. So you're going to be up at Electric City Harley at 10 and kickstands up at 10:30, you said?
No, at 12.
I'm sorry.
We begin the registration about 10, and then we kickstands up at 12:30 on the money. And we will ride to the center. It'll take us probably about 45 minutes to get there. If anybody wanted to just come by the center there, just to shake these people's hands and just to thank them. I shake a man's hand that was 100 years old there, like that week. I mean, he'd had his birthday. I mean, how you just can't do this every day. I mean, it's an experience that I can't even describe.
I'm picturing it now. Wow. That is just so fabulous. This Saturday. I mean, there's a lot to do, and I appreciate that with the audience. But man, this is one of the best things you could do.
Oh yeah, and it's it's a lot of fun. I mean, we take a lot of pictures and all that. We have a lot of veterans that are riders with us. But I don't care what kind of motorcycle you have. Get it out, dust it off, and come pay, I think it's $25 a person and $10 for a rider on back. But we send them numerous thousands of dollars after this, and I think they generally buy all their Christmas presents with it. They'll always send us a picture of the hallways with all these Christmas packages wrapped and sitting outside these guys' doors on Christmas morning.
The Gino Murley Center, so many of the veterans we pay tribute to passed away living there. And I tell you from visiting friends there, and it is a beautiful, beautiful place and a great experience. On top of a great motorcycle ride and the camaraderie that comes with that. That's an amazing event this Saturday.
It's just amazing, and I just want to let everybody know about it. And if you know anybody that rides a motorcycle, or any of your listeners know somebody that has a motorcycle, tell them to get it out and come meet us there about 10 o'clock Saturday morning. They'll have a time of their lives.
What is it about, Kendall? What is it about Harley drivers? They just seem to be the greatest core group of Americans that I know of. What is it?
I can go to any Harley shop in America, and I'm treated like a brother.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the brand Harley Davidson. I mean, we got people that you can't ride on one of our sanctioned rides it has to be a Harley.
Yeah.
But we do have rides that you can bring whatever. We've got wives now. I think we've got 3 or 4 of these 3-wheel tracks. The front wheel or the 2 front tires on the front. We've got 3 wives that are driving those instead of sitting on the back of their husband's back. So
Love it.
so it's just it's a lot of fun.
Well, Kendall, it's always great to talk to you, and thank you for calling in on this event. Saturday, registration starting at 10 up at Electric City Harley on Route 6. I think it's Einan, but Route 6, and then going down to the great Gino Murley Center to shake hands of some incredible people, some heroes that live
every
there.
one of these guys are heroes.
Yeah.
Every single one of them are heroes. So you got a chance to shake a hero's hand.
Amen. Great way to spend part of your Labor Day weekend. Thank you, Kendall. Appreciate it.
Sir. Thank
All
you
right,
so
my
much.
man.
Bye-bye.
We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Are we back, Bulldog? We did the music misfired. Oh, Lord. Well, it's hard to be in the 50s, and it's actually the 2025. Mother Teresa for August 26th. She says that each one of us is merely a small instrument. All of us, after accomplishing our mission, will disappear. The only question is, will you collaborate with God so he can use you to do his work here on earth? Mother Teresa for August 26th. Thank you, Mary Regina. Hey, just a quick note on the spam callers. My man Gary checking in. Scott the Slabjacker. Mary Regina checking in. Now, this is for Barbara, okay? First of all, there's not much you could do on landlines other than the do not call list. What Gary tells me is the do not call list prevents most telemarketing calls. It doesn't apply to some types of callers, including certain nonprofits, political organizations, surveyors, businesses for which you've provided prior consent to call, etc. Now, you can eliminate 100% of spam callers on your iPhone, and he's guessing that the Android has the same capability. Now, on Barbara, you may want to switch to cell phones. Not much more difficult. But Mary Regina tells us you can add them to your contacts, whoever it is calling and bothering you, and then block them. That's pretty cool. What does the Slabjacker say? Well, first of all, he's telling us about the Cracker Barrel deal. He says, number one, Cracker Barrel thing, don't come in and change the whole company to fit your valley. It's a company, maybe he means values. It's a company, it's there to make money and be profitable, not to be woke for DEI nonsense. You do what works or you pay the price. That lady was having issues with the calls, okay? He gets to Barbara. The spam callers, what I do is every time I get a caller that spam on my cell phone, I go in and block that number. I can't call from that number again. And if you keep doing that, eventually your phone doesn't ring. So I don't think she has a cell phone or is calling from the cell phone. I think she's got a landline. That's a little harder, Barbara. It's a little harder. But a lot of great suggestions from people. Where's my man? This is one that's sort of... and if you've got a pen handy, Tenor Jim from Wilkes-Barre says, Bob, to block spam phone calls, 888-777-3406. 888-777-3406. The recent caller was right about telemarketing calls, morning, noon, and nights. Recently took a call and read the riot act to the company rep, noting my age and not being well. Thank God, since Saturday, the annoyances have stopped, says Tenor Jim. Hey, we're finishing with that song we talked about in that interview. Oliver Anthony. I love this song. Remember we played it a lot? Richmond, north of Richmond. It debuted at #1 this date, 2023, Murph tells us, and is a great place to finish today. I don't know where the time goes. I just love hanging around you guys so much that it flies, and then it's over. And then I've got a call, cabinet guy giving the same suggestion. You don't need to add to your contracts, just block, then delete. But our vets, they ain't no Richmond, north of Richmond. Frank Schmidt, West Hazelton. Harold Vandermark, Wanami. Jerry Gahan, Scranton. Joseph Ayub, Mayfield. Dana Williams, Hughesville. Bob Bogart, Scott Township in Bloomsburg. Well, my Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11:58:53, which means we're just about out of here. The Sue Henry Show next. The Rob O'Donnell Show after that. Loved being with you. You know that. God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow morning. But for now, we must gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, and we'll let you finish with Oliver Anthony. Have a great afternoon, guys.